Hello, guys. Welcome to episode 9 of this series. So far, we've talked about many CSS properties. We've talked about layouts, grid, flexbox, margins, background, images. But on this episode, we'll be focusing more on the form, as form is one of the most important thing on a website. So without form, user can interact with us. They can provide their own suggestion to our website. So it is very, very important. So when we're talking about form, in HTML it has a tag for it for us to get started. So we can just come here and state form now. So in the tag now we have two main properties. They are the main properties that is very important. So and the first one is the action. This action simply means that okay, whenever user enter this their details, what do you want to do with it? Where are we trying to direct them to? Where are we submitting the information to? So this action take part to that. Let's assume we are building our front end, our HTML and CSS in conjunction with our backend. That is, they are in the same folder without doing anything. We can simply come to these actions and just direct the form to a part where our backend logic is. So let's assume like, without putting anything in this action, it will simply be on this page. It won't go anywhere. The information will just be on this page on the browser. So it will be here on the browser. So the most important another method is we call it method properties. We call it method. So this method we have this method is uses HTTP method. HTTP method simply means the medium which a browser use in displaying information and getting information. So let's come back here. You're able to see that automatically our website is showing with live server. We are showing it, creating a form layout. And the other things we can do is that if you come here and try to get a part that is not located within this file, we see the error that is. Let's just try to get good now. We see that I cannot get index.html/good because the browser is using a get method to display information. This route might be a post method. We cannot get it because the only thing that can be displayed on the browser is a get method. We have other HTTP method like patch, put, delete, and something like that. But the most important one is this get is what the user will see on the browser. So now automatically, without including this this properties method, it should be on the get method. On the get method. On the get method. And then within this form now, we have some child component or element. The elements are just the type of information we want to get from the users. So let's come here. The first one here, you can just say when you enter input. So the input here, we have another property here which is type. The type of input you want user to enter in this field. This simply means that okay, we can control the type of information user can send to us. Maybe we want text. Okay, what they want to collect is just text. We input text. Maybe we don't want text. We want number. Just number. Maybe we don't want number. We want an email. Just for them to submit an email and subscribe to our mail. You just call it mail to be there. So this is how to use the information. And to get started on this tutorial, we'll be building a simple form whereby user can enter their details, and then we design it with our layout. We'll be using flexbox on this place because the last tutorial I was more specific on grid, so we'll be using more flexbox on this one. Now we want information. The information I want to collect from user now, we want to collect their first name, their last name, their email, password, then we'll collect their gender, and probably we'll collect no, the inputs that we'll be using on this one. For the first name, let's start with first name now. Input, first name is a text, then we come here, we just put a name. Name is very important, that okay, it's used to identify the type of information user submit. So here we can just include the okay, first name, then we leave. The second one now, the second here we can come here that okay, this one is also text, we can collect their last name, then we leave. So if you check the browser now, so we have it like this. You can see that I can also add the number, but this number is not directly as number, it is as text. It is treated as strings. Let me use that word, strings. It's treated as strings, not as a number. But when we get to JavaScript end, we will explain more on this. So yeah, we can add number, but let's assume we put here a number. Let's see what will happen now. A number, very specific. Okay, we want a number. Yes, you can use Joshua here. Yeah, you can see that we can't use anything here. The reason because this input is only for number, and text, any text cannot be treated as number, but any number can be treated as strings, which is in form of text. So that is what happened here. So let's build this form now. Let's start with our layout from the scratch now. For every form, we notice that the form is here, but there is not anything that is specific, the type of information user to enter here. So let's guide the step a little bit. We can guide the steps. So let's come here. Let's create a container for each feed that we want. So we can create a container by just simply writing here. You can just come here, give a class of row. Let's start with a class of row. Yes, this will be for each element now. For each element. So here we come here, we write another class. This class will be for the first name only, because the layout you want to use now, you want to make sure that this thing will be side by side this way, that is flex this way, they will be side by side here. So that's the layout you want to use. So here we can just give it a class of element, So within this one now, we can now come that okay, label is simply means to identify that okay, for this input we want to give a name to it for user to understand. For this one now, we can just give it the name that the input we have. I can just come here and say okay, first name now. So here we can just come here, first name, for them to enter their first name. So here in the input field too, you can just here and said okay, text, and the name should be first name. Name we give to this one. So here too now we have second name too. Come here now and say okay, element. On this element we want to have a label, the way we did here, a label for last name, and here we come okay, last name. So here too an input of text, a name of last name. So this is good now. If we come here, come on the browser, you will see we having this information, this like this. User can enter it. So this is more good now. Another thing, we can come here, you can put here a placeholder. And come here and place the placeholder. Placeholder is what the text that will be within the input. You can just say okay, enter enter your first name. Just put a 2 dots here. If you come to the browser, can you see? Enter your first name. The same 2 here, we can come here and say okay, place order now, and say okay, enter your last name. So another input that we want that okay, we want them to include their own email. If you can remember the layout that we are using, we want to make sure that these things stand on a full, the way they are like this column, we don't want it to be in this column. We want them to be on what? Side by side. We don't want them to be like this. We want them to be side by side, that is flex side by side. So that is why we are using this class name of row. Since we are done with this one, we can close this one here and start another one. We want it to be 2 by 2 each side. So this one here now, enter the class name again. We still write the CSS. Let's deal with the HTML first. So here now, an element again. So here now, a label. Just give it the label. This one will be an email. Want to enter the email address now. Email address, for them to enter the email address, and the input feed too. The input feed can just come here. Instead of text here, we include email, because the reason why I'm inputting this is that so that they won't enter anyhow information into our form. So the next thing, name, is very important. Email for it, and then a placeholder to enter your email address. Okay, it's okay like this. And another information that we want to get from them too is also for them, we can get password. Let's try to get password for them to then enter their password randomly like that. Okay, we can also come here, say okay, element here. Also, in this element, we need a label for them to know that okay, password here, password here. So on the input feed now, instead of text, enter password, because a password should not something that everybody will see. So the form automatically will not allow anybody to see the form. Even the user that is writing it will be the only one to know it, won't be able to see it. So here now, a name, I'll just give a name of password here. A name of password. So placeholder now, let's enter a placeholder now. Enter your password. So it's good like this. Now we have two elements on each row like this. It's good. This row is complete, right? Let's try to create another row. Before we create another row, let's check what we have on the browser now. This is what we have on the browser. Let's test this input. This one now, if I enter this, can you see? We can see, unlike this place, we can see what we are writing here. This place, we can't see what we are writing here, because you are the only one that is moving your hand. So that is different between this type. We are going to show the difference between this email and this text. The main difference is just that whenever we submit the form, and this thing does not end with an email format, we get an error here. Get an error there. That is the main difference between them. So now another information that we can enter now here is that we can also enter the gender. You want them to select the gender, you can enter the gender. But for us to enter the gender, we don't want a place whereby we just enter it with writing text in form of this input. So we have from another component or element, let's call it element in form. So the element is called select. We can just close this space. Select, it's called select. So on this select now, this select is just a simple tag that is called this select. It has a name, ID that I want to give to it. So the main name that we can give to it is gender. Now we can give it a gender. ID, maybe if you want to text want to add a specific logic or CSS to it, we'll come back to it later. So within this gender now, we can put our option there. In most cases, they will give you 2 options, 3 options. If you visit the website, they actually a gender, they might include 2 options there, like okay, male or female, because they don't want you to just enter anything. Some people can just come, instead of writing female, they might not put the last thing, just write male. So for them to correct that error, and in the logic part or in the database, they want everything to be the same. So they can just put an option there, okay, for them to choose an option. So to do that, you just come here, option. So this option has a value. The value is just mean that what is displaying out of here, we want to give a value to it. So here we want to give a value of male now. Option is male. So if you come out here, we can just say okay, male now, on option of male. Option 2 here. Here we can just give a option of female, and here a female also, because we want to give them the 2 options here. If we try to come to our, you will see we have a male, female, but we are not giving them the label or what users to input. So let's come here. Let's try to include the label here. Before label, let's try to include our element tag so that we're able to give it a design to it. Let everything be within an element tag. So able to do that. So on this element tag, let's give it a label now. A label of, for what? For gender. A gender, and then we just what? Gender. For them gender. No, gender. For them to select their gender. So when they select their gender like this, so another thing we can do here is that we want to make sure that this thing is not empty, and for them not to be empty, we can come here and say okay, required. Don't put a require. I should introduce this one first. This simply means that okay, this field is very required. They cannot, when they are submitting and this thing is not selected, none of it is selected, the form cannot be submitted. So we can just come here, give them the an option here. Okay, the value should be empty, and the value cannot be empty because it is required of them to fill something. And then we can just come here and say okay, select gender, select gender. So you can just come and select gender, and you see we have something great like this, gender, select gender. So they can choose here, which is great. So another thing we can do here is that also we can just introduce another form method. In form, we have close to, I think we have more than 5 options. We've talked about text, I've talked about number, but we've not used number here. But I've mentioned number, I've mentioned another email, password, also a select button. Also we have radio, we have checkout. The difference between radio and checkout, I'm going to show you now. I think we need to use them. Let's use them. Let's use radio now. For us to use radio, let's include our elements too. Our elements tag. Yeah. Okay. Elements div. So inside this place, just a label. Let's give a label here. A label. For what? Let's just say okay. They want to select their information. Let's give them a row for them to select 1. So the purpose of this value is for them that we give them many options. It's only for them to tick one out of the options. They cannot tick two options, only one options. So on this place now, we can just come here and say, okay, on this note, let's just write role, the role here. Once we have the role now, we can just say, okay, what are the things you want to give to them now? Things you want to give to them, we can give them just an input of input here. Inside of here, we just write radio. It will bring out radio for them to tick out of many options. Out of many options, we want them to tick one out of it. And just here, we can just give it, okay, name of row. That's whatever they choose will be their row. A role. So let's assume here, I just say, okay, try to enter. This should be here. It should be before this now. Let's write a text here. Let's write a text here and just, okay, maybe they are new to coding. Just, okay, new to coding. New to coding now. Also here, we know that we need to include the value here. The value should be what you are seeing outside here. Okay, new to coding. I just put something new to coding like this now. So you come here, we say, okay, row new to coding, we can select it. So they can call me. If you have many options, so they can select something like that. So let's define this more. Let it look more. Let's give it let's everything be within a div. A div like this. Let's give the class of flex side by side. I think that would be good. We are still going to write the CSS for this. So I think let me format it here. Format document here. Okay, it's looking great now. Okay, now. So now we have this. Let's give them more options. Don't let them lead them to one. Let's give them more options for them to choose. So they're able to choose better options. I think we can. Let's give them more 3 options. New to coding. A beginner at coding. Yes, that would be good. A beginner at coding. Let's flex now. Need the flexed. And this place a label. Oh, do you need the label again? We just say, okay, beginner at coding just here. In this place we can just include our inputs now. Okay, input of radio now. Out of many things, name of row, we give them the name of row. One has to be choose, and then value here. A value here, we are just like, okay, beginner, whatever things it is right here, we just a beginner at coding now for them just to choose. Okay, let's write another one. Let's give them 3 options. Flex. So in this place now, we can just say, okay, intermediate. Let's just give intermediate now. I think intermediate, more options like want to advance, like you want to advance your skill. Okay. So here too we can just say, okay, an input of radio, yes, a name of role, and then a value. Give it a value. The value here we can just go intermediate there. Probably let's write everything. Want to advance now. So come back to our logic page. Can you see we are having this? So they can choose here. Can you see? They can choose here. So whatever they choose is what it will be recorded on this row. So now that's how it is. But now how can we submit this? We can submit it with an input tag. With submit, we have that input tag submit. We have its input tag of submit now. Let's try to close this role again. Let's close this. Yes. So now, and you can just come out and say, okay, input now. Let's try to submit it. Submit functions. So on this submit now, we give it a value what user will see. Just say submit. Okay, let's give it submit. Come to our website, we see that okay. You see this submit now. That's the most important way. Submit now. Try to submit this. It's telling me please select an item on this list because I use the tag of require. It is require now. Now let me try to select a mail now. Try to submit again. The form is submitted. Because the rest of the something I now haven't required, it can be empty. So we can include it. Now let's test the email, the type email and the text now. Here we can just write my name here. Here so let me write. I think this we go okay. Yeah, I don't want to include any name. Just this one, a random text. This one, let me just I'm a mail. Need to advance and then let's submit. Can you see here now? Please include at in the mail address. It's missing because you are using the email type. That is different between the text and the mail types. I think we can give it more option too. Before submit, we can include a text area. Text area is very important. Many times if you visit a website that has a contact page, they will ask you to enter your name, email, and also a description, like a message you want to send to them. Then they use text area for that. So now let's have a text area. Just come here, an element again, element here. Inside this element, just give a label for them to see. A label now, a label for, let's just use the bio for them to just enter the bio and then say okay, description, a description here now, an input. I'm not going to use an input here. I'm going to use text area. Text area. On this text area now, we're going to include our name, which is what the name for it is bio. An ID, we don't need an ID for now. Another thing that we need here is that we need to be very sure of the size that we want user to see. By default, it is very small. Let me try to cancel this query so we can have it fresh. Okay now. So now we see it's very small, but we can come here and say okay, enlarge. Let's try to give it a size automatic. I can just come here and say okay, columns here. Columns. In the last episode I explained what is column. So column is how it will enlarge on the what? On the horizontal, on the vertical, this way. So row is on the horizontal level. So we can just give it a 5. Let's give it 5. I think 5 will be okay. And a row now, a row, how it will roll down. 15 will be fine. Let's give it a 15. So now, you see what we have? It's having a very large row. It's having a very large row. You can come here and change this one to 10. And this one we can change this one to 10 too. It's still very small. It is very, very small. So let's just this one to be 25. 25 now. Yes, we have it. It's okay like this. I think this is good now. So now, and let's try to give it. It's okay. Let's try to use another input. The other input here is checkbox. Checkbox is very important. Some when you want to sign out, they say you have to check this to agree to our terms of service. Let's try to do something like that here. A class of flex now. Use a class of flex. Here we need the input, an input. Here we now use checkbox for them to check. Just give the name of agree now. They need to agree to our terms of service. Just come here, label. Just write a label here. So give the label for agree, and then you can just add our text here. Agreed to terms and conditions. Terms and conditions. Conditions. Okay. I go to terms and conditions. Now, let's see what we have now. So on this page now, we've used 90% of the form input here. So with this one, you'll be able to create your input, feed any type of form, get any type of information from the user. So now let's try to design it to look more big and responsive, because we are treating the CSS. Let's try to design it here. You can come here, yes. So this here now, let me try to split this one. Okay, it's even here. I'll split this one now. Okay, so yeah, I'll be on the HTML site, so you're able to see what is going on here now. So for the first thing now, let's try to give it a background to our body class. You can give it any color, but we just want to make it simple, very simple and easy. Or just make it simple and easy to use how to take the background color of I think I like this blue. Let's use this. So on this page now, can you see it's looking great now? Now let's come here now. Now we have these arts. Let's try to use this art too. Let's try to use this as main now. Let's try to use this. So what are the properties we can give this one here? Okay, we want to make sure that we are using flex box here. Let's make sure that everything here is under flex control, because the section is everything is within the section. Everything should be under flex control now. Just come here, displays now. Flex. Everything should be under flex. Other things, flex direction. You don't want everything to be side by side. Let everything be in a column. The flex direction of column now. So what other things can we do now? A gap. Probably the gap between it. The gap. We don't need the gap. It's okay. Let's give it. Want everything to be in the center. Just come here. Justify content. The center. Center is okay. Let's give it an align to an align item center. So center, have to be in the center. The center here. And also let's give it, for responsiveness, we should give it a height. The width is automatically 100%. Let's give it a height of minimum. So a minimum height. Which means the minimum height can give it 100 pixels, but let's just give it a minimum height of VH, 100 VH. It simply means the viewport should be minimum, should be able to adapt to any screen. So this is what we are having now. So there won't be any scroll if it is not necessary. You can see. So it's okay here. Formation is looking good. I think we can make it more better than this now. What else do we have? Okay, we have form. On this form tag now, let's write a CSS for it. Form tags, we'll be using flex all through. So a flex is okay. The flex direction too, within the form, want everything to be in column. So we have to be straight down. Let's give it a gap. The reason why we're using gap here is because within this form, we're having each div. We have row is here, row, we're having a row. This one is an element. We have like 3 elements, 2 rows. Inside rows we have elements, so we can give it a gap that each one should have a gap of 10 pixels. That is the distance between this row and this, and should be 10 pixels around. Here we can just come here and give the maximum width, because you don't want the form to be too big. A maximum width, we don't want it to be too big, so everything will be in the center. I think 600 pixels will be okay. It will be good. The maximum width of 600 pixels. Here now, everything should be in the center too. Just like content center, it should be in the center. We don't want some to be everything to be aligned. And then that is what we have. Okay. Yes, I think we are getting there a little bit. The gap here, can you see the gap? There is gap here, there is gap here, there is gap here, there is gap between this one and this one. I think we are getting there gradually. But if you try to come here, this is the form. There are no space. There should be space around this form. There should be some space around this form. So on this form here, we can just come here and say, okay, let's give it a padding now. Then padding will be okay. Round about it, a 20 pixel will do. So everything will be in line. Oh yes, we're having this now. It's looking great. And this is looking great. It's looking great now. So what else can we do? Okay, let's move to label now. Let's move to label. Label now. Because with each input form we have label. So let's move to label. Give it a font size. A font size of 20 pixel will be fine, I think. Font width of 500. 500 will be okay. So what we have here, we can, let's increase it more. Let's give it more width. 600. Let's increase to 600. Let's see what we have here. Label. 600. Why this is not taking place? This label. Okay, there's a spelling. Okay. Yes, label. Yes. Okay, we have it. Yes, this is good. This is good. We're having it here automatically. So we are just using the default browser font. I don't want to go for fonts, so just use this font here. But your one, you can just go to Google Font and grab the font. I've explained it in a previous episode. So come here. What else can we try to give it style to look more good? Okay, now let's select the input. Let's try to select an input. So we just come here, input now. Select an input here. So the input, we don't want to have outline or this line that is coming out. So we don't want it. We just want to cancel it. Let's try to put outline. Should be none. I think padding too, the space between it. Let's try to put padding. Can you see the thing is starting at the first? We don't want it. A padding of. Let's give it a padding. A padding from the top to down. You take 10% from side. Let's give it 20. With 20 do 20 pixel. It's not too much. Let's see what we have. That 20 is too much. I think let's give it 15. 15 will be fine. Well, what else can we give to this input? Yes, this is looking great here. Looking great here. What else can we give to the inputs? Okay, border now. This border is too sharp. Let's give it a border now. A border of 1 pixel. Then color. Let's give it 2 pixels. So everything will be showing. Color. Which color can we give it to? Let's just give this color Okay, what's this? Okay, we have it. Let's give it a color here. See. Small color here. Yes, very close to white. This one is okay. Yes. Having a color of gray here. This is okay. This is looking good. We are still coming to this element. Give it the element and row now. Let's to make sure that everything is looking great. A bit. What text can we give to these inputs? Okay, the edges here. Border radius. Border radius. What happened here? Oh, I didn't close this one. Let's see. Okay, border now. Border radius. I think 10 pixels is good. Not too much. Yes. So our input is looking great. But if you notice that this select is not changing, some of these things are not changing in this place. They are not changing yet too. So what we can do here is that you can come here. This one is looking good. You can come here and try to include them. So I've explained this in our previous series too, how to match 2 or 3 elements together in CSS. So we just come here, I think select. Okay, select. Another one is that text area. Try to include this text area. Let's see now. Yes, it's looking good now. They're all looking the same. So they're looking the same now. This is good. So what else can we do now? What else can we do? Okay, the elements now. Let's try to go to the element. The element class. I think element. Okay, element. What happened? Okay, now. Elements. On these elements, let's just use flex for it. I think this will be okay. And then element there will be flex. And then let's just give flex direction should be color. But everything should be on a standard list. So let it be a column, because this element is having the label and the input. That's why we're making it column. So now let's come here and give it that row, the row that we want. So here this will be flex. So instead of column it will be flex automatically. This one be flex. You can just come here and give it a gap. The gap that we want. A gap of 10 pixels 2 is okay. Now let's see it on the browser. Yes, the magic has happened. Can you see? See, this is what we have. Our form is looking great now. It's looking good. They can tick here. Come and tick. So you can come and tick. You can tick now. It's looking great now. Can you see how great? Okay, let's try to design this button. Let's come here and say okay. To design this button, this button is not having a class name. I'm going to use the power of CSS for it. An input now. So on this page, just include the type that I want to show. Just okay, submit. Just put a submit here. And then come here and say okay. On this submit input now, let's try to include the background color, a background color of, let's try to use a color code of 04, okay, 04. Let's see what this color is. It's very black. I'm not a black man. Which color can we use? Okay, let's use this 4C AF50. Let's see what we have. There's nothing like this. Wow. Let's try to remove this. Okay, we have the color. Let's see if the color is showing. Yes, we're having the color here. Okay, here now we can just try to control it. We're having some border here. We can remove border and just come here. A border none. Yes, this one will be very good. A border none. Then let's give it more padding now. I think the padding for this one is okay for the input. You take the padding from the parent. And outline, let's try to cancel the outline here again. The outline here, let's cancel it to be none. Also, what's the color? The color, let's try to change the color to white. Now, I think white will be looking great on it. The font size, let's change the font size. I'll change it to something like 20 pixel. 20 pixels will be very good. Font width, let it be like the other 600. Yeah, 600 now. Yes, we have it. It's looking good. Okay, it's looking good now. This is looking good. What else can we do here? I think we can do more. Can do more here. Okay, this flex class. Let's try to define this flex class. What can we have here? So this flex is just taking two or more things. So you can just include it as flex. Display flex. So display should be flex. I think that will be very good. Display flex. And then we can just include another flex property, flex wrap, to be wrap, so that everything will be right. A gap, let's give it a gap of 10 pixels that we are using since morning. And then align items, everything should be in the center because of this. Should be in the center. And then we can just try to put a margin here. Margin of top is 0. Side by side 10 pixels. It's very good. Yes, wow, this is looking great. The form is looking great. Let's check if it is responsive now. Automatically it won't be responsive, so we are just going to check if it is responsive. Oh no, this is not good enough, but there is this solution out. On this one, we can make it one column on the mobile. Let me check on the tablet. It is good on the tablet like this. Wow, it is good. So mobile, okay, 558. So let's say 558. So let's come here and write our media query here. Let's write our media query. So just come here and say, okay, media. Let's use this one. Max width of 558 pixel. And just come here and include, instead of this row on the displays, should be flex. We make it flex direction. So because the flex direction should be column. I just include it in case it's not there to be flex here. In case that one don't want to work, so flex. Put everything here. What else can we do here? What can we do here? Wow, this is looking good here. This is looking good, but it's getting too much. It's getting too much. Everything is not within a container again. So let's try to reduce them. Let's try to reduce them and come here and say, okay, on this place now, form now, let's try to reduce form. The reform by giving it a padding of 20 pixels is too much. Let's try to give it a padding of 5 pixels. 5 pixels is okay here. So on this place, let's see what we have here. This is looking good here. It's looking good, but this thing is too big too. It's too big. Let's try to come here. What are we having here? Mouse width of here. Let's cancel the width here. Let's check it again. Okay, it's out of it. Okay, this is still loading. That's what you have here. Okay, this is not working. It's not responsive yet. Okay, the input, the form is taking too much. Let me open this. Okay, this is the form. Yes, the input. Yes. Okay, now. So let's come here. The mean of this label of 600 pixel on the label here. 600 pixel element. Anywhere we are giving input of values or width, we need to change it so that it will be responsive. What can we change here? What can we change here? Element. Let's try to change our element. Element is not there. Column flex. Okay, it should work now. Let's try to cancel it again and then let's restart the server. This should work. I'm not defining any width here. Let's try to restart the server. Okay, we're having this here. This is looking great on mobile, but it has to very good too on mobile. Wow, this is great. It's looking good on the mobile. I didn't change anything. Sometimes you just have to start the server, so just to refresh your code. So it's looking great here. But here we are having this outside it. I think let's try to cancel this flex on this place. Automatically it will be fine. The div here, let's try to cancel it. Let's put the div. The div should be there without a class, so you know that it is div. It's a container that holds these ones. So let's see what we have. Yes, it's looking good. If you try to submit it, okay, the form is still loading. Try to submit. Let's try to submit. It's telling us how to fill out these things. So try to come here, fill it up. Need to coding or advanced. Just say hello here. Check random text. Come here, input anything. Yeah, just input anything here. Option is filled, and let's try to submit it. So we have our information because our submitted through get. If it is post, it won't be showing on this URL. So thank you so much. We'll be seeing you on our next episode.